Κάπου εδώ θα αποχαιρετιστούμε, κυρίες και κύριοι. Θα ευχαριστήσω πολύ τον Θοδωρή Αδάμου που ήταν μαζί μου σήμερα στα πλήκτρα της κονσόλας. Και βεβαίως να πω ότι θα είμαστε μαζί και πάλι αύριο το μεσημέρι στη 1. Μην χάσετε απόψε το βράδυ την εκπομπή του Στέργιου Καλόγερου σχολιάζοντας την επικαιρότητα στις 8 και 4 με σπουδαία πραγματικά θέματα, ρεπορτάζ και όλη την αλήθεια γύρω από το κέντρο αυτό γλώσσας μακεδονικής γλώσσας στη Φλόρινα, στο τι γίνεται, στο τι πρέπει να γίνει, στο τι ενστάσεις υπάρχουν και πόσο μας θίγει γενικότερα ένα τέτοιο ζήτημα. Τώρα στη Θεσσαλονίκη βρέθηκε πριν λίγες μέρες ο πρέσβης της Μολδαβίας στην Ελλάδα, Αντρέι Ποπόφ, που μίλησε αποκλειστικά στη Βεργίνα τηλεόραση και τον συνάδελφο Ανδρέα Σταματόπουλο για το σκοπό της επίσκεψής του, τις συναντήσεις που έκανε και τις συμφωνίες που υπέγραψε και τις σχέσεις μεταξύ των δύο χωρών. Παρακολουθήστε την ενδιαφέρουσα αυτή συνέντευξη και να περάσετε πολύ όμορφα μέχρι είναι οι τελευταίες μέρες χρονιάς, να τις αξιοποιήσουμε με κάθε δυνατό τρόπο. Γεια σας.
Mr. Ambassador, welcome to Thessaloniki, and I want to ask you, what is the purpose of your visit in our city?
Well, then I'd like to say that δεν μιλάω ελληνικά, αλλά θέλω πολύ να μάθω, and I will try κάθε μέρα, εγώ προσπαθώ να μάθω λίγες λέξεις ελληνικά. And with this, I want to say that I think there are many common points of interest between Moldova and Greece. I am privileged to represent my country in your wonderful country since late August. Only in early October, I presented my letters of credence. And this is my first real visit outside Athens. But these 48 hours were by far the most intense 2 days since I arrived to Greece. Now, in Thessaloniki, we had a really intense program of meetings. We started with a very good and warm discussion with an excellent man and mayor, Konstantinos Zervos. We also had a very good welcome by the chairman of the Thessaloniki Chamber of Commerce, Ioannis Masoutis, and with the deputy governor, and today with Mr. Deputy Minister of Interior Kalafatis. We visited port, and quite a good discussion. We spoke with representatives of the University of Aristoteles. We also met the representatives of the in Thessaloniki of the Foreign Ministry, and we also met the representatives of our diaspora, some business community. So it was a real full program. The main purpose is the following: to see which are the areas where we can strengthen our cooperation, and we already in these meetings we felt that there is good potential. For example, in wine production industry. Moldova is one of the biggest wine producers in Europe. Our vineyard area is even larger than in Greece, and we are the 18th largest wine producer in the world. Top quality wine. We export most of them to European markets. Greece has also good wines, but different types. So first of all, we would like to put together the experts in this field for them to share their best practices and experience and set some partnerships. We had a specific discussion about this. We also spoke about trade, investment, memorandum of understanding between universities, memorandum of understanding with the port, and how also to promote Moldova in Greece and Greece in Moldova and Central Macedonia. And I mentioned I met the Madam Deputy Governor of the region, is the number one destination for foreign tourists, and by far number one in terms of the tourists who come by car. And Moldovans are coming to Greece mostly by car. It's really close. It's one-day trip to Thessaloniki. From Chisinau, it's 16-17-hour drive. So I think these are just a couple of elements of my response to your very complex question.
How would you describe the relations between the two countries, Greece and Moldova?
Relations, they are good, but I think there is a big potential for them to develop, and I have as my key focus to, first of all, see the areas where this potential is not fully developed, and then to concentrate and bring results. Our relations are based on a lot of common historical connections. You know that Alexandros Ypsilantis, he lived in Chisinau, in our capital. In 1821 there was a meeting of Veliki Eteria in Chisinau, and in fact the revolution which made modern Greece put back on the map of Europe and on the world, it was launched from Odessa and Bessarabia, Ioannis Kapodistria. In fact, for a short period in 1812, he was helping Russian government who annexed that province of Bessarabia to design the local administration. Later, these ideas were implemented in Switzerland and then in Greece. Orthodoxy is a big connection. However, for me, it's important to see how Orthodoxy is in harmony with your Europeanness and your strive for modernization. This is a very important thing for us, and there are things we can learn here. We have an important human connection, human bridge. There are about 20,000 of citizens of Moldova who moved to Greece, some of them for 20-25 years. They have their families here, they're contributing to your economy, they're bringing the best from our society, traditions. There are many mixed couples. In fact, I should tell you, yesterday we met several Moldovans residing in Halkidiki and in Thessaloniki, and out of those who came, 4 are mixed marriages.
Moldova has been an official candidate for membership in European Union since June.
Indeed.
When do you think full integration will happen?
You know, this is a serious process of technical negotiations. There are more than 30 specific sectorial chapters, from agriculture to environment to fiscal policy to energy to transportation, of course human rights, foreign policy and justice and fighting corruption, in which we have to progress. And to be member of the European Union, you have to become European Union type compatible country, and this is a focus of our reforms. I cannot tell you the perspective. I think it will not happen over this decade, but it is very important that finally Moldova and Ukraine clearly received the clear, legally confirmed European perspective for us, which will help us to organize our reforms and, very importantly, to overcome the resistance of some vested interests which do not like the country to modernize, which feel good in this non-European, non-competitive environment where they can have some illegal advantages. We want to win this interest, to fight corruption, to clean justice, and bring Moldova closer to the European Union. So the process, it is an important step, but it's a long and complicated road. It has 2 elements: political will on our side and the European Union, and here we have to show our solidarity with the European Union and our capacity to align with the European Union in terms of values, and we are showing this in the way we respond to Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which we heavily condemned from the very beginning, and we showed solidarity with a huge wave of Ukrainian refugees. 650,000 Ukrainian refugees entered Moldova, 80,000 of them remained in Moldova, and European Union is helping us a lot. So this is a political side. On sectorial side, we have to reform and make Moldova in all areas of its society to be more efficient, more European, more modern. So this is, not only the important step was made, but now we can see the final destination and clear message from EU. If you do this, one day you'll become member of the European Union.
You mentioned the war between Russia and Ukraine. How was your country affected by the war, since Moldova borders Ukraine? And do you think the energy crisis will get worse?
Yes. Well, because I'm in Greece, in North Greece, imagine the border Moldova has with Ukraine is 1,200 kilometers long. This is exactly the length of the border, all land border, Greece in north has with Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria and Turkey. So imagine the same, only it's on our eastern side. That's how long the border with Ukraine is. Moldova is only 50 kilometers away from Odessa, and Odessa was a target and is a target of bombing by Russia. We could hear on the first day of the attack, we could hear explosions in Odessa, but also twice over the last weeks, Russian rockets fell on Moldovan territory without victims, but it is an evidence how close we are. Arguably, Moldova is in a most sensitive, delicate position. Look, the flow of refugees, 650,000 entered Moldova, put a big pressure, and then they came really fast. We had to mobilize all our services. Greece had a similar wave in 2015, 1 million people in 1 year, but over the 1 year basically. In our case, it was in several weeks, several months, such a huge wave. We handled it very well. 90% of Ukrainians who entered Moldova or who stayed in Moldova were hosted by Moldovan families. And this earned an international name for Moldova, a small country with a big heart for the way we treated this. Second impact, trade. Odessa port was a key entry point for Moldovan imports. Now, for the 10 months, it is blocked. We have had a different route, bypass through Constanța, on rail, much more expensive. It increases the prices. Energy. We were totally dependent on Russian gas. Not any longer. We have alternatives, but still we are getting gas from Russia, and also electrical energy. Because of energy crisis and the negative impact of the war, the tariff for the gas increased 7 times in 1 year. 7 times. Just imagine. The government is trying to compensate as much as possible. Huge amount of money, which otherwise would have been directed to social investment, infrastructure projects, now are redirected to compensate people for very high electrical and gas bill. But still people are suffering, and this is very bad. Other countries, Romania, Lithuania, Poland, also affected, but they are members of EU, and there is a very strong solidarity mechanism in EU, and there are strong and very flexible mechanisms providing assistance, and they are members of NATO. They are covered by NATO security umbrella, not the case of Moldova. Plus, we have Russian troops on a separatist territory called Transnistria, and a huge stockpile of Russian munitions, which also represent a security threat. We are very glad that Ukrainians managed to resist so well, and actually they managed to recapture some of the land they lost. For us, particularly the south, it's very important that they thrown Russian back in the eastern bank of the Dnieper region, liberating Kherson, which pushes away Russia from Moldovan proximity. But it's too early to say it's over. We are preparing for all the options. We are a neutral country. We are not a member of NATO, but neutrality doesn't mean isolation. We condemn Russian aggression. We helped Ukraine. We showed our solidarity with Ukraine. We didn't join sanctions, but we are not allowing Moldova to be used to circumvent and bypass Western sanctions against Russia. And very importantly, I think we have to be prepared, and the lesson we learned that we have to be prepared, and we are modernizing our modest, small armed forces for them to be prepared just in case. And all this being said, any crisis is also an opportunity. Of course, what happens in Ukraine is a huge tragedy, and what is Russia doing is a huge crime. And Moldova is arguably the second most affected country for the reasons I just outlined. But this also helped us to clarify some issues. And it also helped European Union to look at Moldova and to recognize that Moldova and Ukraine should be candidate status and should be helped to minimize the impact of this crisis. We are getting good help from European Union, from EU countries, from our international partners. Germany, Romania, and France, they set up so-called platform to support Moldova. They had a meeting in April in Berlin, in July in Bucharest, in November in Paris, and at this table, and Greece is participating in these discussions as well, our international partners are seeing how they can better coordinate to help Moldova resist and progress.
And one last question. You said that Moldovians come to Greece for tourism. Moldova is a destination for Greek tourists.
Exactly. You know, of course, Greece is a world-known number one, I would say. The country is just blessed by nature, by God, the amount of sun, excellent beaches, the welcoming people, the good quality resorts is outstanding, and we see the unprecedented boost in 30+ million tourists this year, more than in pre-pandemic times. We are very glad for Greece in this respect, and I'm promoting as an ambassador to Greece, Greece as a destination for Moldovan tourists, but at the same time, and it was in today and yesterday's meeting in Thessaloniki, I'm explaining that Moldova has things to offer. Last month, a YouTuber influential team called Happy Traveler from Thessaloniki, they showed an excellent 2-hour-long, 2-part series about their experience in Moldova. And I tell you, I met people today and yesterday. I met the president of the Port Authority who said, I watched this movie, I want to come to Moldova. It's rural tourism, there is wine tourism, there is food tourism, there is also religious tourism, historical tourism. And look, if you look at the map, Moldova is a small country in the north of the Black Sea, in the east of Carpathian Mountains. It is sandwiched between two big countries, Ukraine in the east, Romania, our brotherly nation with which we share the same language but also history, culture and traditions, is in the west, but we're in the middle. But like they say, in the sandwich, the most tasty and interesting part is in the middle. So we have to promote ourselves better, and I think Greece and Greeks can learn and discover many good things in Moldova, including our world-class wines and our unique seats like Krikova winery. It's an underground, 100-kilometer long cellar. You have all types of wine there, and you have streets which are not named for historical figures, but there are underground streets which name Merlot, Chardonnay, Cabernet, but also Moldovan grapes, Rara Neagră, Fetească Neagră, Viorica.
Thank you very much.
Evharisto Poli.